This is your first time in Grand Rapids, correct?
It is my first time in Grand Rapids, but not Michigan. So.
What? Just kind of tell me so far. I mean, you were at the convention last night.
Mm-hmm.
What was it kind of like there, being in the Grand Rapids Comic-Con?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm very excited for Grand Rapids and the people at Grand Rapids Comic-Con, just because of the size and the amount of people that they're expecting this weekend. And so last night, the opening night, a Friday night, was, they had a really good, nice, steady crowd. So it's nice to see people come out, and it's nice to see people embrace their inner nerd and, just really come and see all the different artists and the actors and dress up like superheroes and just really let themselves go and have a good time.
What were fans saying to you when they were meeting you last night?
Well, obviously being on Power Rangers has been very exciting for me, and it was a lot of fun. And the fact that we have a strong following 20 years later is pretty amazing and quite humbling. But we quite often hear stories of people telling us how the Power Rangers influenced their life. So in my case, because I played the nerd or the geek on the show, a lot of people became scientists or doctors or computer specialists. So I always hear stories like that. I hear a lot of stories about how people became martial artists or gymnasts. Or we hear some really tragic stories about how people were in abusive families, and Power Rangers is their one saving grace. Like, they would run home and they would watch that, and that was like their safe zone. So there's so many amazing, heartwarming stories that we hear.
That is amazing. And you said, you said the fact that the legacy has been going on for over 20 years now. You said it was surprising and humbling. How so? Why do you feel that way?
Well, I mean, there's just so much love that people have for us. They cry when they see us. They want to hug us, and it's just it's something that when I auditioned for the TV show as just wanting to be a working actor, never would have thought that a character that I was playing would have an impact on people's lives, and they take it so seriously. So it's humbling in the sense that people just, they just want to thank us and they just want to hug us, and it's really one of the greatest rewards I could ever say as an actor.
When the show first started and you did the pilot episode and it was picked up, like what was just that initial feeling of, oh cool, like I get to be part of a show?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's an exciting experience as an actor. I had only lived in Hollywood for 3 months, and I had moved there to be an actor, and I was just, the audition process took like basically 2 months, and they start out with thousands of people auditioning for a show, and then it keeps getting whittled down, and it makes you so nervous because more than anything, you just want to get the role and you just want to get to that point where you hear you have it. So 2 months of that was very stressful. But then when they say you got the role, it's like it's a dream come true. And then you get to show up on set, you have a dressing room, you have a trailer, you have wardrobe, you have makeup, you have all these exciting things that you get to experience. And as an actor, those are things that you dream about. So it was like living my dream.
When did you first notice that the show was becoming a hit, was becoming the phenomenon that it became in the 90s?
Yeah, I mean, we basically filmed almost the entire first season before it even started airing. So we had no idea how the show was going to go. And then it aired, I believe, in August or September of 1993, and it immediately went to #1. But I didn't really realize the full impact or the success of the show until we'd agreed to do a show, like a live action show at Universal Studios in Hollywood. And we were just scheduled to do one show at a really small amphitheater, like it's not going to be a big deal. But what ended up happening was we ended up closing down the 101 freeway in Los Angeles because so many people were trying to bring their kids to Universal Studios to see us. So I believe they said 10 miles in each direction, the freeway got shut down. They had to close Universal Studios down because too many people were coming in, and I think we ended up doing 7 or 8 shows as opposed to the one show, and they moved us to a whole different theater, a bigger theater within the park.
And do you can you still remember just what that audience looked like when you went out on stage?
Well, we always call it our rock star moment, because it's like they introduce you and you go out on this big stage and you just hear people screaming, and then just all these flashes going off all over the place. So it's a surreal experience. It's something that it's hard to describe, but I imagine that's what a lot of singers experience when they go out to sing before these big audiences of 30,000 people or whatever.
When the show became, not just a hit but a phenomenon. I mean, it was for a while like this was the thing for kids, and they wanted everything about it. What for you was kind of like the proudest moment during that time?
I mean, there's so many. We got to do a lot of cool things, and I think one of the things that really sticks out with us is working with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and just getting to meet kids that had terminal illnesses and don't really have a great shot at life, and one of their wishes would be to meet the Power Rangers, and so we would get to spend time with them and just watch the smile on their faces to see what a difference it makes. So those are the memories that stick more to my heart. Obviously, being a Power Ranger in general is fun. It was a physical show, so we got to do fights, we got to fight monsters, it was colorful, it was campy, so there's all those other things that stand out, but just really the impact that we had on people's lives is always the thing that I think most of us treasure the most.
Do you remember the first time you ever saw the action figure that had your face on it in a store?
Yes, of course. This is another surreal experience to have not just one, but numerous action figures made of yourself, made to look like you. So I guess when I saw it, it was like, oh, that's cool, but it's more interesting when you actually see kids playing with your action figure, that you go, oh, that's interesting. So, there was a lot of cool ones. There's one that flips. It has me in my helmet, and then you push a button and it flips and it has my face. Yeah. And so it's really cool. I mean, not a lot of people get to have an action figure made after them, so I feel honored.
I could never say her name correctly.
Twee Trang?
Yes.
The Yellow Ranger.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite memory of her?
Well, Twee, she was just a very funny, very soft-spoken, beautiful girl. And so the thing that I remember about her the most is her laugh. She just had an infectious laugh, and it was devious at the same time, but she was beautiful and stunning, and just a sweet girl. And unfortunately, she passed away in a car wreck.
Is there a certain moment or a certain scene or just something behind the scenes that almost every day, crosses your mind when you think about her?
About Twee?
Yeah.
Well, when I think back to being on set with her, I always remember going into the makeup room, and she was always in there brushing her hair and hairspraying her hair. So I remember that a lot about her. But at one point, she had injured her leg really bad, and she couldn't walk on it. So there was a couple times where people actually had to carry her to set. And so I don't know why, but it was funny to all of us that she would be kind of carried in like a queen to set. So those are the ones that I always stick in my mind about her. It was just funny to watch her being brought into set, being carried by a couple of production assistants. So yeah, I mean, she was a great girl.
Was it weird for you, just kind of when that process started happening in the second season, when Austin, Twee, and Walter were being replaced?
Yeah, of course. I think the original cast, all 6 of us, had an amazing chemistry together. And we got along well, and we enjoyed working together. So obviously when half your cast is being replaced, it's kind of difficult and frustrating and disheartening. So, I love all three of them greatly, and I'm glad that we're all still friends. And but it was a difficult adjustment, and the new people that came in were great as well, and we had good chemistry with them. But I just always, for me, the first cast, because we went through so much together as far as auditioning and really having to rehearse and get the show up and running, and just knowing everything that we had to go through together. Obviously, I hold those memories a lot more to my heart.
When you left the show, was there a part of you that was? Well, let me rephrase it this way. Like Adam West and William Shatner had moments in their career where they were, there's a role that made them iconic, but when they got away from that role years later, they wanted to kind of get away from that role. They almost resented it in a way of like, gosh, I can't do anything because they keep thinking me as that role.
Right.
When you left Power Rangers, did you have a similar situation?
Sure. I would go into casting offices with different casting directors, and they would just be like, well, you were a Power Ranger. Kind of like belittling it, which is kind of frustrating because it was one of the most successful children's TV shows. So sometimes you would think like people would understand like, well, this is something that we should be banking on because they're popular. But a lot of times I would just experience being looked down upon. So there's a frustration with that, but I also understand it. It happens quite often, and I think always, with most of us, a lot of people will remember us as Power Rangers, and that's fine. But I don't ever have any like frustration about it and not wanting to be a part of it. And I always wear blue, it seems like, even because I was the Blue Ranger. No matter how much I try to get blue out of my wardrobe, it creeps itself back in. But I think it's just the nature of the beast of television. You get on a hit show and you kind of get pigeonholed into certain thought processes, and it's up to me as an actor to prove it differently. And I haven't done that yet, but maybe that's coming up.
Is it true that you were one of the producers of Temptation Island?
I was one of the associate producers, yes, on
Okay.
Temptation Island way back in the day.
How did you get into that?
Well, after I had left Power Rangers, I had moved away to Mexico for a year to kind of regroup and all that. But when I came back, I just thought, well, I want to work in TV still. And so I just started working for a production company and quickly kind of moved up the ladder and got into a producing position. And there was a show that they wanted to do for Fox, and I got assigned to it. So it was interesting. I can't say it was the proudest show I've ever worked on, but it had its interesting points.
There are a couple of pictures that are out there that I wanted to ask you about. There's one right after the new Congress took over in 1995. There's a picture of the Power Rangers with Newt Gingrich. And were you the original actors in those suits, or were those just extras meeting the Speaker of the House?
I believe that was just extras meeting.
Okay.
I mean, usually if we ever appeared anywhere in the suit, we wouldn't have the helmet on.
Okay.
We would be holding our helmet.
And then there's a picture from the movie shoot of originally Mariska Hargitay being in being part of the movie.
Yep.
And is it just kind of weird or almost surreal? Like, wow, like I got to work with her, when she was starting out, and
Look
now
at her
she's
now.
a primetime star.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting working with Mariska. She's a really good actress, obviously. I think we all know that. And the film was going a certain way, and the studio at some point decided they didn't like how it was going, and it wasn't just Mariska. It was like a bunch of different issues. So we took a few weeks to regroup, and they recast her role and recreated different types of monsters and stuff like that in the film. So I think it was great to work with her. It was really awesome, and it's been really awesome to watch her career go from I remember she was on ER, and then suddenly here she is, SVU. it's fun to watch people you know and watch their success.
Can you talk a bit about in the most recent part here of your career, you've been quite active in the No Hate campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just kind of talk about what got you involved with that and why you're a very big advocate?
Well, as a gay person, I've been frustrated to be sort of mitigated to a second-class citizen. So when I'm an American and I don't have equal rights like other people, it's extremely frustrating. So the No Hate campaign obviously is a campaign for marriage equality, and it started with Proposition 8 in California, and all the money that went into basically making gay people second-class citizens by several organizations. So it's obviously something that I'm very proud to support and get out there, because I obviously think that all Americans deserve equality, especially LGBTQ and I people. So unless you really experience not having full rights, it's frustrating. So a lot of people don't really get the issues behind it. At one time, federally, we're denied over 1,100 typical rights that a normal person, I should say, a normal heterosexual person would have, and we're not able to have that simply because of a bias to our sexual, the way that we are born. So, I just want to fight for equal rights, and I've done several marches in California for that, and the No Hate campaign is a great way to get the message out there, and I'm really proud of the work that they do.
When fans meet you at Comic-Cons, do they just want to shake your hand, or just hey, say I love hey, I loved you, I love the show, or like do they want to be like more personal, like can I just give you a big hug?
All three. So a lot of people just want to come up and say, hey, it's a pleasure to meet you, can I shake your hand? Or like, I would love to hug you. I mean, hugs are free, so of course I'll hug anybody. And it's such an amazing experience to have people just want to meet you and thank you for what you've done.
We're just about done. I have 2 questions left.
Go for it.
One is just, you did hundreds of episodes of Power Rangers. Is there one in particular that has a special importance to you in your heart, either by just the show itself or, special memories behind the scenes of that particular episode?
Well, I get asked that question a lot, it seems like, and it's hard because I did 200 episodes. So a lot of them have a lot of special meaning to me. I mean, there was a lot of fun ones in the first season that I got to film, like Amy Jo, the Pink Ranger, and we did one called Power Ranger Punks. So we kind of I got out of my nerdy self, and she got out of her Valley Girl self, and we were punks. And then there was another one that she and I did called Switching Places, where I became her and she became me, and that was fun to shoot. But there's tons. There were so many fun moments. The Halloween episodes are always fun because you get to dress up differently, and I got to dress up as Einstein one time, and Sherlock Holmes another time. So there's a lot of great memories, and just every time I get to see clips of the show here and there, I'm like, oh wow, that was a good episode. That was a lot of fun. And my character had a lot of girlfriends, so that was always cool. I had a different girlfriend. Seemed like every 5 episodes or something.
I think my favorite one is Woe Is Me, because of just the fact of Billy meeting someone who's very similar to him. And yet, when she's in danger, he doesn't hesitate to, step forward and say, I'll be there. I will protect her, and so forth. And I think it was just really cool to see that, while Billy maybe, he has a maybe sort of shy, quiet demeanor, he doesn't hesitate at all to step up when needed to step up.
Yeah, that was one of the great things about playing the character I got to play. As an actor, it was challenging for me because I'm nothing like my character. I'm not intelligent on that level, and I enjoyed that aspect of him, that he was quiet and he was sensitive and shy, but he was extremely intelligent and always thought before going into battle. But when all the stakes were down, as they say, like he he always stepped up to the plate. And so as an actor, getting to watch my character from the time that he started to the time that I left the show, I just really enjoy his story arc as a man. Like you see him just really become a man. Like he learns how to fight more, and he gets more confidence, and so that was really fun to play.
And then my final question is that I love asking all actors is, you're known for this iconic role of being Billy in Power Rangers, but is there a project out there that you're very proud of and that you're very passionate about that maybe other people, that most people are not aware of, that you would like them to see?
Not really. I mean, I've worked on a lot of stuff, but I mean, there hasn't been anything that really has really made me go, oh yeah, I'm really proud of that yet. So I guess we'll have to keep waiting and see if something like that happens.
Well, David, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.